If you don't like it, please don't tell me because it might hurt my feelings. And then it just went downhill with the ending. I was sick to my stomach reading this and it just made me mad. It just made me mad. So I don't even know if that was cohesive, made any sense. I don't know if any of this is making sense if I'm being honest. So hi everyone and happy June. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in May. I read 10 books in May. 3 or 4 audiobooks, went back and forth between some, and 1 arc and a bunch of paperbacks. We're just going to talk about all the books that I read in May and what I rated them and what I thought. So let's get into it. First book that I read in May, Into the Blue. Into the Blue. I started it the last day of April and I finished it on May 1st. So I read it in a day. I first listened to the audiobook, which I really recommend you listen to the audiobook because there are certain parts in the book that it would make more sense to listen to the audiobook based on like intonation and how the narrators are narrating the story. I don't know how much I want to give away of this book because I went into it blind and that was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience and it was such a good book. 5 stars, by the way, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, so I listened to the audiobook and I just immediately, in the middle of the audiobook, I had to buy the paperback so I could annotate, and as you can see I haven't annotated, but it was so good. It follows Noah and AJ and it follows their storyline from them being like teenagers to early to mid 20s and then later on in their career. And I don't know how much I want to give away of it because I know it's on a lot of people's radars and I really liked going into it blind. 2 different book clubs had this as their book club pick, not personal, but like my book club with some girlies on TikTok. We read this book and I was the only one to give it 5 stars, I believe, and I was the only one to rave about it and love it as much as I did. I'm also in Maddie Faber's book club and this was her book club's book of the month. A bunch of people in that book club also agreed with me. They also really loved it. So I'd say this is one of those books that you either really love it or you just don't, and that's okay. But one of my all-time favorites, so if you don't like it, please don't tell me because it might hurt my feelings. The next book I read in May was No Matter What by Kara Bastone. I gave this 4.25 stars. I heard such good reviews on this book and I heard that it was going to be a 5-star and that everybody loves this book, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Like 4.25 is still really good in my book, but it's such a short book. So there were parts that I thought were like kind of slow and kind of boring, but then there were other parts where I'm like, I wish this book was longer. Like near the end, I wish the book was longer. This book follows Vin and Roz, and it's like a marriage in trouble kind of story. They're not like divorced or broken up or anything like that, but something happened to them. It affected their marriage and it affects like the way they interact with each other. Like they can't even look at each other. They can barely have a conversation with each other. And it is them finding themselves again post-accident. So finding who they are individually but also as a couple. Vin is so sweet. He is such a sweetheart. I loved him. It's like alluded to throughout the whole book, but there's something that you find out about Vin that he's been doing this entire time for Roz, and it's like I love him. He's such a sweetheart. So yes, 4.25 for No Matter What by Kara Bastone. The third book I read this month was Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan, and funny enough, it's the 3rd book of the Skyland series. I gave this 3.75 stars, which is still good, and I still enjoyed it, but there was like a premise of the character dynamics that I didn't love. Hendrik works with this one girl who is dating the MMC Maverick, but they weren't dating at the time that Maverick pursued Hendrix, but to the public they were still dating. So it's a whole thing, and I didn't really like that. But this, unfortunately, was my least favorite out of the entire series. I know, I'm sorry. I really loved the characters individually, and I loved all the side characters that were main characters in the previous books, seeing the girlies all together, the little trio. There was a conflict not between the 2 main characters, but there was a conflict near like the 3rd act, you know how it goes. Either I glossed over it or it just was not resolved or did not go too much in depth of what the conflict was and how it was resolved. So I was like kind of confused because it just seemed to like end. Like the book just seemed to end, which was fine. 3.75 is still good in my book, so I don't even know if that was cohesive, made any sense. I don't know if any of this is making sense if I'm being honest. So the next book I read was Wings of Starlight. I listened to that on audio, and the Wings of Starlight is like a Pixie Hollow story, I guess. I gave that 3.75 as well. Wings of Starlight was so cute, but the ending what? what? I guess it was fine. I guess it makes sense. I thought the premise of the story was really cute. Clarion trying to become queen and finding her own voice and finding her confidence to be queen, and her meeting Mallory? Is that his name? Her meeting Mallory and him helping her out, and them trying to figure out this problem that is happening in all of Pixie Hollow. Them working together and him like helping her with her confidence, and like it was just so cute. I'm losing my train of thought. I don't really have much thought onto that book because it was just like a cutesy little YA fantasy book. So, and then the next book was also an audiobook that I listened to, and that was Passion Project. I gave that 3 stars. It was okay. I was liking it, and then I just didn't end up loving it. I gave it 3 stars because Henry, loved him. He was a sweetheart. He was so wonderful. If it weren't for him, that would have been probably a 2 or 2.5 star. Sorry, I know a lot of people really love Passion Project, and I wish I did. I thought I was going to love it. As I was listening to it from the beginning, I was like, okay, this could be a 4 plus, and then it just went downhill. But I know, Bennett had things that she had to deal with and that she was going through. She was unaware of what she was doing to the people around her, and that was my problem throughout the entire book, is that yes, she had all of these problems and she was dealing with all this stuff, but like the people around her were trying to help her, and she wasn't accepting of the help. She didn't believe that she deserved the help or deserved the love and support that she was getting. So she was like pushing everybody away, and it was like very frustrating, and she was taking out her frustrations on the wrong people. There's a part in the book where they're at an event together and she doesn't want people to know that they're together. So she tells Henry the story of what to tell other people, but he slips up, and then she gets so mad at him, and I'm like, girl, he didn't mean to. And also, like, she had an out to tell people the truth, and she didn't. Those people that she was trying to hide the story from, they were gonna be accepting of whatever the story was if she told the truth. And she just didn't. And it just made me mad. It just made me mad. So Henry was the reason that the story was 3 stars, but I was really enjoying the actual Passion Project when they're going on the little adventures and figuring out what they like to do, because he was so thoughtful when he thought of those. But then, like, it just, like, it started going downhill. The next book I read was Mirabelle, and I actually read the arc of this. It was in, like, a video that my off-campus week video. And so I got a digital arc of it, so then I had to buy it in paperback. And again, this is another one that I've been meaning to annotate because there's such good quotes in here, there's such good banter, and I really loved this story. This is book 2 of Blue Willow. I also gave this 5 stars. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this is 5 stars as well. But this follows Jack and Isla, and Mirabelle is Isla's orchard that is in financial struggle. It's a marriage of convenience, so she can get a grant to keep Mirabelle alive, basically. Jack and Isla have known each other for about 6 years, I believe it is. They were supposed to go on a date 6 years ago, and he stood her up. Come on, Jack. Come on. But he is so down bad for her. He will literally do anything for her. I mean, like, hello, marriage of convenience. He offered to marry her for her to get the money for the orchard. I don't think this is a spoiler. There's no 3rd act breakup. There's a little, like, conflict in the... Oh my gosh. Isn't that so cute? My nails match the thingy. Oh, no 3rd act breakup. There's like a little conflict that happens. It's not like annoying, you know? They handle it like adults. They talk about what's the problem. They're talking about their fears and why it is a problem, and then they figure it out and they move on. And that's it. They don't break up, and it's not a miscommunication. It's just people being people. If that makes sense. The next book I read was One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. Everybody said I was gonna love this more than Every Summer After, and me personally, I loved Every Summer After. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, because I feel like a lot of people didn't like that book. Anyways, everybody said I was gonna love One Golden Summer more than Every Summer After, and I'm sorry, but I didn't. I really did enjoy this one. So this follows Charlie and Alice, and Charlie is Sam's brother from Every Summer After, and they're like in their 30s now, I think. 35 he is. Yeah, because he's 35. They are back in Barry's Bay. Alice used to visit when she was younger, and her being in Barry's Bay basically started her photography career, which is pretty cool. Also, Alice, let's talk about her for a second. I saw myself in Alice a lot, but it was like a lot of the parts that people didn't like about her, so I was like, oh, okay. Right. I felt really seen through Alice, and I know that's really corny to say, but I thought she was such a lovely character, and she like inspired me to want to start doing my film photography again and do my digital photography again, so maybe I will this summer because she has inspired me. Charlie and Alice were very cute and very bantery as well. She had a little bucket list that they also were trying to achieve, so I thought that was fun. The little adventures that they went on were very cute and fun. There was just parts of it where I was like, can you guys get together already? Like, can you guys get together and be together? I understand the reason why he was so hesitant, but you don't realize until near the end. This is definitely my second favorite Carly Fortune book, but I just did not love it more than Every Summer After. I'm so sorry, but still, 4 stars is great. This is my third 5-star of May. Unbound by Peyton Corinne. This is the 3rd book in the Undone series. I thought Unloved was my favorite. No, this one's my favorite, and I'm actually so excited for Undone because that follows 2 characters that we meet in this book. The next book is Torrin and Lily, and you meet Lily in this book, but Torrin is in book 1. But anyways, back to Unbound. I have been anticipating reading this for so long, and I meant to read it in April when it came out, but I just never did. So I read it in May. I was over-eager, not in like a happy over-eager way, but I'm just like on the edge of my seat over-eager way to figure out what the heck happened to these two. Not even like what happened to them personally, but like as a couple what happened to them, but then what happened to them personally. Paloma Blake, I love you, my girl. Like, Lizzie Young girls are Paloma Blake girls. When I started reading this series and it starts with Unsteady, everybody's like, it's giving Johnny Shannon from Boys of Tommen. If Unsteady, Sadie and Reese are giving Johnny Shannon, they're giving Lizzie Hugh. Is that bad to say? If everybody wants to compare them to Johnny Shannon, I'm comparing them to Lizzie Hugh. Paloma Blake, I love you so much, and I'm actually so glad that she has Bennett, and now she has this whole found family behind her. I was sick to my stomach reading this, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her ever again. And also, Bennett deserves the world. Bennett and Paloma, both of them, they deserve the world. These two have gone through so much, and they struggled so much mentally, and this just like shows their healing journey. There was one specific part that like when I was reading this, I'm like, wow, this feels like I'm reading Releasing 10 again, and I need to stop. I need to take a break and, I don't know, get in touch with reality, because this is hurting my heart so much. I just really want these two to be okay, which I think now they will. They're on the upwards journey, you know what I mean? I just really loved Paloma and Bennett. Bennett was always there for Paloma, and even though she left a little, it was always him. And it was always her for him. So like, they are meant to be together, and you knew it from the beginning. Like, you just feel it from the beginning that they're meant to be together. Oh my god, now I'm just thinking about it. Now I'm thinking about it because, pause, let me restart a little bit. They got together when they were in their freshman year of college, and in their freshman year of college they dated for a little bit, but then something happened, and then you figure out later on the book what happened and why she had to bolt. And then now is them in their senior year, and in their senior year you find out what happened back then and why she had to bolt, and why that I can't say any more about that. I just like I'm gonna go into a spiral on them. Okay, we lost some lighting. My camera's plugged in, so I had to unplug my lamp, so that's why it's a little different lighting. Whatever, who cares? I'm not a professional. This is fine. My next book that I read in May was actually an audiobook, and that is Shield of Sparrows. I gave that Nope, I just gave it 4 stars. I really wanted to rate it higher, but there was like the middle portion of the book, I was like bored. Like, things were happening, but it wasn't like exciting to me. The beginning was very interesting because Odessa was not supposed to be whatever princess or soon to be queen. Basically, it was supposed to be her sister that got sent away and married to this one guy. I don't even know if what I can say about it, because it's like there's a lot that happened, but I don't want to spoil anything because you just need to go in and you just need to learn what happened. But anyways, Odessa ends up married off to this one guy. So Odessa goes with her new husband, and then she like never sees him. But guess who she sees all the time? The Guardian. Basically, beginning, she gets married off. Middle, kind of not much happens. Where the hell is my husband, you know? And then I can't tell you what happens after that, because that would spoil the entire book, and then that would spoil the next book for you. But just know that you learn a lot that maybe could have been predicted. I had my theories on certain things, and I did not expect the big thing. I feel like I should have seen that coming. The end, you find out so much and so much happens, and that's really what made the story for me. The last book I read in May, I actually finished yesterday, Legendborn. I started this back in March, and then I soft DNF'd it, and then I jumped back in and I finished it in May. I gave this a 4.25 stars because this is very unique and very different from everything that I've ever read. It was giving secret society, it was giving magic, it was very interesting, and low-key, did I know what was going on half the time? Sort of. This book follows Bree, and she's like in this early college program. First thing she basically learns is that there's a secret society. So this is like King Arthur retelling as well, which I don't really know any lore behind King Arthur. Lancelot was mentioned in this book, and that is Declan Cain's middle name from Terms and Conditions. Anyways, there were magical creatures, monster type creatures. The secret society, like I said, the way they treated her and spoke to her sometimes, I'm just like, don't do that. That makes me mad. But she follows this secret society because she wants to know more about her mom's death, because she found something fishy about her mom's death, and it was like, are they connected? Read the book to find out if they're connected, but like the beginning chunk of it was very interesting, very like world building, but like magic system building. And I want to read the next book because of the way this ended. I'm like, I would like to know more, please. And also I would like to better understand what's going on. So those are the 10 books that I read in May. Let me know if you have read any of them. Let me know your thoughts on them, or if you plan to read them, also let me know. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.